My colleague has an amazing relic in his possession. A spoon recovered from Earth. Ah, I'm so envious. Yes, I've been blessed to call New Atlantis home. When I was a younger man, I would travel the settled systems with no home to call my own. I was a nomad, if you will. But out of all the places I've been, no place quite spoke to me like New Atlantis. I collect all sorts. Gems, novelties, old Earth trinkets. Anything and everything that has some sort of value, monetary or otherwise. One of my favorite possessions is a fork that was used on Earth. How amazing is that? You'd be amazed what people will wager in a bet. I've won and lost some truly breathtaking things. My collection, as it stands, is quite valuable and substantial. It used to be more so, but my bad string of luck lately has affected it. I can assure you with near certainty he won't decline. As much as I hate to say it, St. George and I are cut from the same cloth. We both adore relics from Earth, no matter how large or monetarily valuable they are. They are a piece of human history, and that means a lot to us both. It pains me to part with the plate, but I happen to have a few others in my collection. If it means sacrificing one to get the gem back, I will. It does. It was the first item I ever collected. The start of it all. I received that gem when I was a young man. To know that I foolishly wagered it, threw it away. Well, I won't make that mistake again. Ta-ta! Hello.
Excuse me. Hope you're not agoraphobic.
Hi there. Not now. Can't you see how busy I am?
Especially if the people doing the hiring are the same.
It's just an idea. I know the company.
Interstellar shipping rates aren't that bad. Insurance is where they get you.
I think I paid more for the insurance than the delivery.
They had it. Maybe I should just join the list. Set up on a move away from everything.
What are you doing? It's been a while since we had a chance to catch up.
Just taking things one day.
The trade authority deals in stolen goods, but no one's doing any.
By the way, Captain, Sergeant Yumi was looking for you. Sounds like he's found one.
Doing great, actually. Thanks for asking. Just got a new job, a new apartment, so things are looking up.
I appreciate your help with that task. Good coffee is a passion.
Need something but don't have a lot of time? That's why I'm here. Come on in. Take a look around. No problem. Happy to serve. Thanks for stopping in. I can always use the business.
Who do you think will be the first to ask us questions? Mateo or Noel?
It's been quieter around here ever since Vladimir went to live on the Eye full-time. Great, let's see what you... Stay safe, okay?
Burning helium across the far reaches is dangerous work.
Recently?
Would have
I
told
haven't
you
needed
to
to
gear
go up
up
there in a
even
bit.
before we
Why?
knew we had competition.
Oh, I just don't know how he does it. Up there, all over.
Some people love that kind of space. Pun intended.
How's everything with you?
I told them it's...
Ever run into spacers?
Always worth checking. Never know what you might find in their pockets.
The Freestar Collective has no... Bye.
But I really think I should give it a shot.
Really? I wouldn't do that.
Well, you're only as safe. I would never dream of selling substandard. Yes, by all means, have a look. Please do. See you around.
Keeping the skies safe out there?
Authorized personnel. Have to stay here.
Eager to help, if I can. It is always a pleasure.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Well, what a pleasant surprise. When I heard you and Hadrian were headed for Londinian of all places, I presumed you must be onto something big. Did you find what you were looking for? I haven't been to Londinian in many years. Why? Is there some way I could be of assistance? Were you able to recover what you were looking for? Now, what in the heavens would make you claim something as ludicrous as that? Did you? Well, I don't know what you think you heard on this recording, but I sincerely hope you didn't come to the wrong conclusions. After all, given the Cabinet's current state of anxiety, they might misinterpret such a discovery to mean I could have been involved with the attacks. Perhaps I can convince you to keep this among us. Of course. Do I look like I'm in any position to do what you're describing? So I'd very much appreciate your agreement to not share what you found. We wouldn't want anyone else jumping to conclusions now, would we? clever than I expected. You want to hear the words, then? I did it. The Terramorph attacks on Tau Ceti, New Atlantis, my doing. Years of coordination between my associate and I, figuring out how to deploy the Lazarus plant's pollen outside of Londinian, learning to synthesize it, use it as a weapon. Now, being as clever as you are, I'm sure you have thoughts on why I might do such a thing. All in due time. First, I want to see if you're truly as astute as you appear. So why would someone like me go through all this trouble? Not a bad thought. But no. The attacks were a correction. When I discovered the plant, I did consider handing over what I'd found, but we were at war. And I couldn't risk information that dangerous falling into the wrong hands. So I ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport, fixing two problems at once. Halting the spread of the city's Terramorph outbreak, and sealing away knowledge of the plant's potential. These were the final days of the colony war, Captain. The Freestar Collective had spies everywhere. I was concerned that if word got out, the Collective could swoop down, start breeding Lazarus plants, and overrun our worlds with waves of Terramorphs. Just like what was happening on Londinian at that very moment. Sealing off the city to prevent mass death, it was the only option that made sense at the time. Simple to say now, but with the outbreak raging from a barely understood source, the moment demanded quick action. So I did what was required. I removed the dangerous variable from an already catastrophic war. But then, as the war ended, my trial, my execution, I made a decision. After all, I'd given everything for the colonies. My life as I knew it included. And what did I get in return? Was there any effort by the UC to protect my legacy? My daughter's legacy? No. We were sacrificed when all we did was serve. So I kept what I'd learned and arranged the attacks to set things right again. My daughter, she becomes a hero. I become a trusted advisor, having found Kaiser, the research team, and cement my new position of influence when I hand them the name of the person responsible for the attack on New Atlantis. The dear departed Dr. Reginald Orlays, the associate who aided me all these years, and whom I always slated to take the fall. What luck he was stopped dead before he could hurt anyone else. His decades on the run brought to an end by another unlikely hero. You. Why would I want to be in the good graces of the people who control my very life? I don't know, Captain. Maybe I still dream of a life outside these walls someday. A new face would be needed, of course, but it wasn't an impossibility. Though now, not so sure. It wasn't easy. But the beauty of being loathed is that people will do whatever they can not to deal with you. They wanted to pretend I didn't exist. And so I used their blind eye to my advantage. Still, establishing a back channel to Orlays via the UC recovery teams was painstaking work. I've led campaigns less nerve-wracking. They believed they were luring in wanted criminals, but were in fact delivering precisely encoded slates, filled with instructions invisible to any but their recipient. Dropped off at just the right moments to fall into the proper hands. All without the UC realizing whom you were actually dealing with. Slow work. But as you can see, ultimately effective. Can't remember the many lives you've taken. Orlays was the man whose death you brought about around the moon of Etheria, the pilot of the Warlock. The man I had to eliminate, to hide my secret. Captain, please. You've benefited here as much as I have. Maybe more. It's why I had Orlays reprogram Kaiser. Had that old machine guide you to where I found the plant all those years ago. I went to great lengths to ensure your and Hadrian's success. And look at the results. I know for a fact the Cabinet's planning to honor both you and Hadrian once this is all done. Isn't that preferable to languishing away in obscurity? Running jobs on the tail end of nowhere for the Vanguard? With only the vague hopes of perhaps earning the right to buy a home in the well someday. Something befitting the dedication to the colonies you two have shown. While of course they can't give you a command, responsibility like that has to be earned. The Cabinet does have access to considerable resources. I expect you'll be quite pleased with the result, and none of it would have happened without my intervention. I'm simply looking for you to acknowledge the truth. And let's not forget the importance of our actual endgame. Eliminating the Terramorphs. Securing knowledge of the Lazarus plant. What we've set in motion is going to protect thousands, maybe millions of lives. I'm simply requesting one more life be protected. Mine. I've already sent along the evidence of Orlays' role in the attacks to the Cabinet, leaving out my own involvement. All I ask is that you confirm as much to the Cabinet. Tell them that it was Orlays and Orlays alone. After all, I do still have a long list of threats to the UC. This needn't be the end of our good works together. Hunting down criminals and other threats to the United Colonies. I expect they'll give me a bit more free range once this is all over. You would help me, like you did with Orlays. Track them down, and keep them from doing harm to the United Colonies. Impossible, though, if the Cabinet learns I'm the one responsible for the attacks. And how many have you killed to get where you are now? There are no great works that don't cost lives, Captain. Whether it's winning a war, or digging a tram tunnel. So we sacrificed a few dozen in the attacks to possibly protect millions. That seems like a fair exchange to me. I only hope you'll see the same, and leave my name out of the discussions to come. right, Captain. We've done something great here. Let's not squander the opportunity to do more.
Authorized personnel only.
Hello, excellent to see you. I look forward to our next discussion.
Perfect timing. We just got in. So on our end, good news. The microbe and the acyles are both as effective against heat leeches as they are against terramorphs.
Means either plan should work for clearing those critters off our worlds.
Considering what the Lazarus plant is capable of, I don't think we can deal with those things fast enough. I already sent along info to the cabinet to get them up to speed. So what about your end? Did you find anything? Any leads on who might have committed the attacks?
Orlays? Reginald Orlays? He did this? I didn't think he was still alive. You're sure it was him? Oh yeah. Both worked for UC Defense Research way back when. Different departments, but everyone knew Orlays. Had a mean eye for weapons tech. And a meaner temper. Wasn't exactly a surprise when he fled instead of standing trial after the colony war. But finding out he's taken up mass murder in the years since, that is a shock. You're sure about this?
If he is responsible, let us hope the cabinet deals with it swiftly and harshly.
That's some impressive work. So then give us the rundown. Where's Orlays now? Were you able to bring him in? I'm sorry to hear that. Those sorts of missions are always tough. Any idea why he might have done it? Or what he was doing with the plant? Another madman justifying butchery. Well, at least he won't be able to hurt anybody else now. Might be the best we could ask for, given the circumstances. So I guess there's nothing else to do but get this all in front of the cabinet. Unless there were other things we needed to discuss. This might be our last opportunity to talk things through before the cabinet weighs in on a decision regarding the terramorphs. Acyles aren't hostile to humans, but they are megafauna. If someone decides to pick a fight with one, it could get ugly. But they've already been spread far and wide once before when the UC was raising them as livestock, so the risk of introducing them to new worlds is minimal. Using them to clean up the terramorphs and leeches, though, it's not going to be nearly as expedient as the microbe would be. Given what we know now about the Lazarus plant, the speed of the job does matter. But going with the acyles, we're at least dealing with known risks. They are.
Microbe needed minimal adjustment to account for heat leech anatomy.
And the Asylees seem like they're even better at tracking leeches than morphs.
Hell of a sight to watch, though, when they catch them. Like an open airlock guzzling angry spaghetti. Microbe is gonna make the cleanup a whole lot quicker. If we're concerned about this Lazarus plant getting deployed again, that's the way to go.
The cabinet can secure the Lazarus plant, and then we're not risking any surprises when it comes to dealing with a microbe.
You're being paranoid. You know the science. You know we can make this safe.
I do know the science. I also know math. And a 1 in a million chance of a mutation isn't 0. So I guess we're still in discussion. Probably best at this point to let the cabinet weigh in, see if they have a preference. And here we go.
Welcome back, all of you. I wish we were meeting under better circumstances. But according to Hadrian's report, and the second one I just received, it seems the Terramorph attack on New Atlantis was no random occurrence, but a planned strike. Is what I'm reading here true? This report comes from a particularly confidential source both you and I are familiar with, yes. Among the reasons its findings are so alarming. Now, is it true? Was the attack on New Atlantis planned?
My God.
An attack? Using terramorphs? How is that possible?
You will all receive a full briefing once we're done here. So then, is what the second report claims correct? Did Reginald Orles commit these attacks, Captain?
That appears to be the case, ma'am. The captain tracked that information down just after our trip to Londinian.
Reginald Orles? Wasn't there a report he'd been killed recently?
Body was found floating around Etheria. Report mentioned you were sent to try and bring him in, Captain. I guess that didn't go according to plan.
Ah, yes. I was told about your mission, and who ordered it. Did you two suspect at the time Orles might have been involved in the attacks? Well, it appears you were ahead of the curve. This report contains definitive evidence Orles triggered the attacks via this Lazarus plant the Captain and Major Sanan uncovered.
Simply heroin.
Indeed. Though it would have been preferable for him to have finally faced the UC's justice, it seems both of you are to be commended for ensuring he was dealt with before he could strike again. You have our thanks. Now, with our villain unmasked, we can attend to the other matters at hand. With the threads you've brought together here, the Lazarus plant, the attacks, the heat leeches. The three of you have likely spared thousands of lives. But it now falls to the cabinet to ensure this can never happen again. As such, the cabinet will be securing the Lazarus plant on Londinian. All materials related to the plant will be classified to ensure no one else learns its true nature.
A sound decision, Madam President.
We're already discussing the elimination of one species, Captain. Explain to me why you wish to eliminate another.
They are ultimately threatened as much as the United Colonies. To share what you know and what can be done to make us all safer can only foster good relations.
That is an idea with some merit to it. Decrease the likelihood of anything like this occurring again, and further relations between our two factions.
Two birds with a single stone. Very well. We'll include the collective in the removal process. Thank you for the suggestion, Captain. So then, to our final topic. The Cabinet has agreed to implement a plan that will deal with the Terramorph, and now also Heat Leech presence on human worlds. In fact, we've already begun enacting measures to check all UC ports and settlements for undiscovered nests. But we all understand this is only a partial solution. The project we're embarking on will be a long and difficult one. So our first step must be deciding how exactly this all will be handled.
Madam President, this microbe is clearly too much of a risk. The Aseles are the safer approach.
To someone with limited knowledge of biology, perhaps. The technology behind the microbe is solved science, Madam President. It isn't dangerous. Using it to wipe out the Terramorphs would be the quickest path to protecting humanity.
And fast results always lead to the best outcomes, don't they?
As you can see, there remains debate among the Cabinet. We were hoping your group might issue a recommendation. Major?
We've been having similar debates ourselves, but the Captain has yet to weigh in.
I see. Captain, I know this may not be your area of expertise, but we'd like to know your take on the matter. Please, ask.
I can feel this one. While intimidating creatures, certainly, Aseles are docile unless provoked. They're honestly closer to oversized mobile scanners than deadly predators. The concern is that, while all proposed methods will be long-term efforts, the Aseles are the slowest. Slow to breed, slow to deploy. We do everything we could to accelerate that process, including mustering some of our mothballed cloning technologies. But if we do elect to use this method, we'll be doing things at the pace of a megafauna, which is not an expedient one. Infinitesimally low.
But not zero.
The chance of a starship landing on you as you sit here isn't zero, yet you still attended. Personally, my fear isn't mutation, but Terramorphs developing a resistance. But that's something our group can continue to address if we decide to take this approach, as I believe we should.
This won't work without them.
Exactly right, ma'am. The Interstellar Affairs Office has already begun reaching out to worlds throughout the settled systems, informing them of the risks we're all facing, and that the UC has a plan to prevent what happened on New Atlantis from happening elsewhere. Thus far, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. The spirit of mutual cooperation displayed between the UC and the Freestar Collective in managing the Terramorph data set a good tone for the work we're doing, Captain. We expect we'll hit some resistance, but our office has plenty of carrots and sticks to ensure the program's widespread success.
The responsibilities will be spread across multiple branches of the UC. Research and day-to-day administration will be handled by a new group under the Science Division. All diplomatic concerns and coordination will fall to Chief Yassine and Interstellar Affairs. But most of the actual on-the-ground work, that'll be handled by the Vanguard. Very well. Then did you have a preference on the method we should deploy? I believe we have a responsibility to do something, yes. Heavens forbid, years from now, someone reopens the Pandora's box that Orlais discovered. It falls to us to enact every measure required to ensure that day never comes.
I'm in full agreement. No need be delving into unpredictable sciences.
The first step in a bold new future.
Bolder, better, and brighter. Well, I need to write that one down for later.
Order, please. And Major Sinan? Dr. Walker, you'd find this acceptable?
We trust the captain's judgment.
Then the matter is settled. We'll begin the process immediately. Today marks day one for the United Colonies Terramorph Management Division, making you three the founding members of the TMD. As befits such a group, the Cabinet wanted to display its gratitude. Today, we will be adding 3 new Class 1 citizens to our ranks.
Class 1? For the 3 of us? Are you joking?
What he means to say is, thank you, ma'am.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
It's a status reserved only for those who've dedicated their lives to the United Colonies, or done great things for its cause. Class 1s enjoy an ample credit disbursement, an additional reduction on the cost of colonial goods. And I'm told the penthouse is rather impressive. You all have earned it. Now, there's much to be done. Major Sinan, Dr. Walker, I hope you two are willing to continue your efforts spearheading the TMD's research on Mars.
We'd be honored, ma'am.
And as a member of both the Vanguard and the TMD, I believe you, Captain, will have your pick of duties. Speak to your commander, Tuala, if I recall correctly. He should be able to provide you with assignments going forward, plus help you collect the benefits that come with being named Class 1. On behalf of the whole of the United Colonies, you have our sincerest gratitude. This meeting is adjourned.
And just what is on your mind at this moment? I am happier. Then I shall be sure. May the serpent guard you.
People joke, say those Varun zealots worship a snake. But let me tell you, it ain't a snake. It's some kind of celestial being. They call it the Great Serpent. Is it real? Hell if I know. But they think it is. And that makes them dangerous.
Authorized personnel. Emperor has to stay here.
What's this? Just you then? No UC executioner. So the cabinet knows the truth about Orlais. Splendid. That means you and I can get to work. I'll tell you why. Because the UC was, and is, full of people unwilling to pay the price required for victory. In the last days of the war, the UC was on the precipice of executing a final great assault on the Freestar Collective home system of Cheyenne. A massive strike, capable of obliterating Freestar Central Command and ending the conflict at long last. And I wouldn't underestimate the UC's capability for coordinated action. But just before we could launch the strike, word came from Londinian. The Terramorph outbreak had begun. I went to the city to assess the state of things, and discovered the Lazarus plant. We couldn't spare ships for a proper quarantine, so it was my decision to destroy the spaceport and seal off the city. Deal with it quickly, so we could get back to winning the war. I had a single ship. What would you have had me do? Ask them and the Terramorphs to form a line, and the UC fleet was spread thin already. No, I touched down, assessed the situation, made a decision, and returned to the task at hand. You joke, but the scale we were working, that's precisely what it was. A distraction. And I dealt with it as such. Quickly. Definitively. The only reasonable solution. So upon my return from Londinian, we proceeded with our killing blow. Initially, we had great success against the mess the Freestar Collective called a Navy. But then the Freestar citizenry decided to get involved. Dozens of civilian ships jumping in to shield their military counterparts. I, of course, had no trouble firing on what should have been designated enemy vessels. But my peers had lost the stomach for it. So many lives lost already, they wailed. So the great UC Navy was routed by a mob. They picked our ships apart. The UC surrendered not long after. And thus rang the death knell for the great UC. It's human nature to see patterns, even when there are none. What ended the colony war was cowardice, nothing less. We were in the middle of an all-out war, Captain. Committing ships to save the city would have left another undefended. Which city would you prefer I'd sacrificed? Sidonia? Gagarin? New Atlantis? And if anyone else had learned about the Lazarus plant, well, the risk was too great. I weighed the options and made the call. Once we'd cracked synthesizing the Lazarus plant's pollen, research that took years in and of itself, the attacks were exceedingly simple. Orlaze's ship would land on our target, bearing a few heat leeches. Nothing that would raise suspicion. Then Lazarus pollen was pumped out of the ship during liftoff from the planet's surface. Shortly thereafter, an attack. A strike perpetrated in mere moments, with no one being the wiser. Well, thanks to our combined efforts, the Sanan name has more clout with the cabinet than it has in years. I hope to build on that. I have a long list of names civilized society would be better without. I just need someone to help me remove them from the picture. Should we begin the hunt? Or did you have questions? Just what I was hoping to hear. There's a slate waiting for you in the transfer system. Those are the details for our first, person of interest. Find them, eliminate them, and make the galaxy a better place for it. Though I would expect some resistance when trying to approach the target. Deal with any you encounter as you see fit.
Authorized personnel only. Your friend has to stay here.
Well, I've got to say, this is a first. I've never had a Class 1 citizen in my ranks before. Congratulations, Captain. It's a high honor. Have to do something big for the colonies to earn that sort of designation. Only ever met a couple myself, and certainly never given one orders. You should be real proud. No need to thank me. You brought this on yourself. I've already gone ahead and processed your Class 1 benefits. All UC goods and services should now have a thanks for protecting the colonies discount. And the credits should be in your accounts now. But to get into your penthouse, you'll have to pay a visit to the Aphelion Realty office. They should be able to grant you access. Just out the front door and across the plaza, by the embassies. Look for the Aphelion sign. City life's not for everyone, I guess. But a lot of folks would kill for that kind of real estate. But with all that squared, it's time to get you a new assignment. There are your standard Vanguard missions, putting those pilot skills to use defending UC space. Or you could help the TMD in cleaning up terramorphs. Oh, and I got a request from Dr. Walker. Wanted your help collecting biological samples to keep an eye out for any, new alien threats on the horizon. Any of those missions call to you? Sure. He'll have all the specifics. If you find yourself looking for more work, you know where to find me.
Never a better time than right now to settle down and make New Atlantis home.
If you're a citizen, of course. Well, well, if it isn't the United Colony's newest Class 1 citizen, you've made quite a name for yourself in New Atlantis. In fact, the higher-ups want to thank you for your dedicated service by giving you one of the nicest pieces of real estate in the city. It's a premium penthouse at the top of Mercury Tower. Best location in New Atlantis, in my professional opinion.
What do you say? It'll just take a second to get you registered as the owner.
Great! You're in for a real treat. It's one of my favorite apartments in the city. Okay, you're all set. Your new home's located in Mercury Tower in the residential district. You'll love the place. It has a gorgeous floor plan and an unbeatable view of the city. Now that you're an owner, I'm sure I'll be seeing you around town.
Please refrain from engaging in
It is a relief to know. But are you sure this Asilis creature is the right way to do it? I can understand that line of thinking, but even when talking about a species like the Terramorph, this decision means the Terramorphs will remain a threat for years to come, if not longer. And that is assuming it works at all. I appreciate your conviction. I suppose time will tell. I will say, though, that I am glad you convinced them to destroy the Lazarus plant. Indeed. The United Colonies hardly has the best record in that area. Well, it is good to know that this particular threat is behind us, and you have done a service to all who live in the settled systems. enlightening. I hope to learn more next time. It is pleasing to speak with you. A shame that there is not more to discuss.
I want to be the next David Barry.
I'm sorry. Heat leeches can turn into what?
Terramorphs. Giant carapace-encrusted tanks. Hence the new scanning protocols. On our watch, no heat leech enters this city. Understood?
Understood.
All right. Let's get at it then. Hey, kind of breaking my concentration here.
Hey, howdy. Father. there.
I always take care of yourself.
Greetings, Captain. You may. I will see you at a later time.
Very soon. Could we talk?
You need something?
Before I say anything else, I wanted to thank you for giving me time. When I first came here, I never expected that I would meet you or feel this way about you. That we would end up here together. I know that you told me you were not going anywhere, but I still worried, if only a little, that my asking for time to think would be a problem. There is no precedent for any of this. A romantic relationship not within the bounds of Barun culture, I mean. I wanted to attempt to honor that culture nonetheless. I cannot do that. I cannot turn my back on the Great Serpent or act like I was not raised to be who I am. It is important to me that I do so. The point I am trying to get to is that I believe I have an idea. A way I can demonstrate my commitment to you. I do not think we need someone to tell us what we already know about ourselves. I do not think some official makes what we have any more real. No, I do not think we do. Do you seriously believe I am going to wear a dress for this? Let alone buy one for the occasion? I do not want a fancy party. I do not want to wear a dress, and we do not need music. This is between you and me, and no one else. You know who I am. I do not need to explain myself to you as I would to others. They might not understand, and I do not want that distraction. I want to be able to focus on us. So, as soon as you are ready, I want us to travel together to the second planet in the Shosa system. There's something we need to do there.
Galaxy is hard work, trust me.
Sometimes I just want to turn off the grav drive so we can float around.
Let's talk. Just us adventurers, okay?
Bye!
You've got my attention, Captain. Space is so hostile to humanity already, and you made it just a little bit safer for everybody. No matter what you could have done differently, this will impact a lot of lives eventually. We'll have to mark it in the Constellation history books so we don't forget it when the Terramorphs are finally gone. So humble, too. People love that. Squeak! Balancing risk versus reward is tricky. Even more so when so much hangs in the balance. So, you really think the Aseles are going to work out, huh? You must have seen some data that I didn't. They're reliable is, I think, what you're trying to say. And yeah, I get where you're coming from. At least with the extermination of the Lazarus plant. the Asylees will have an easier time. Given the length of time needed to deploy the Asylees combined with the amount of time needed to hunt down all the Terramorphs, it's going to be a while before we know if that's enough.
I must confess, the hum of a grav drive makes me feel alive. Yep,
Dad,
I was done too.
have you ever tried Aurora?
Well, yeah, not in a long time, sweetheart. Not since you were born.
What was it like?
Terrible. It was terrible. You stay away from that stuff.
Hey, how are you?
If you want help, I'm here. Sorry to pull you aside like this, but I wanted to take a moment to congratulate you. Taking those steps to eradicate the Terramorph threat is essential to the safety of every living thing in the settled systems. You should be proud. Yes, exactly. I'm glad you treated the situation with the urgency it deserved. I only wish that the United Colonies chose to exterminate the Terramorphs with the experimental microbe, instead of choosing this ridiculous Asili solution. Apparently, their decision was based on your recommendation. That was a risky choice you've made. Minimal risk. Are you sure? The Asili solution might take years, perhaps even decades. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking for humankind. That sounds far too risky to me. Well, I'm disappointed that you didn't trust the science. Thankfully, the eradication of the Lazarus plant gives the Asylees a bit more time to do their job. I'm sorry, I don't. All we've solved is our heat leach problem, which is definitely a step in the right direction. It doesn't dismiss the fact that it will take the Asylees a dangerously long time to hunt down and eliminate the Terramorphs. Of course. I wouldn't have it any other way. I appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to listen to my opinion on the matter.
This right here is my catnip. Orbit reached.
Such beauty in the midst of nothingness. Last night, well, all that physical training seems to have paid off. I'm here for you. I am here if you need me.
Hey, Captain. Need help with anything?
Hello.
What does your scanner reveal? There is little I can offer to show you how much I care, how much you mean to me. Whatever House Varun deems proper could not work, because you are not House Varun. And whatever marriage traditions you might have would not be appropriate for me. If you are not joking, then no, you are not. But there is something here that I believe will make up for it. This place, where we stand now, is the first place I was brought upon leaving my city, Basra. The first time I had ever left my home planet. As you know, I was never allowed to know the way back home. That frightened me. But at the same time, I was suddenly aware of not just one planet, but a whole universe I had never seen. That is a feeling I had not experienced again until I met you. It was, yes. Nothing in my life had truly prepared me for that moment. Just as nothing could ever have prepared me for you. But there is more. Buried here is something of great value to me. Something I wish you to have. It is best, I think, if you are the one to retrieve. You hold in your hands the most treasured item I could give you. I would hope you recognize a dagger when you see one. I know. This requires some explanation. In my culture, every child is entrusted with a pet groat. They are domesticated creatures native to my planet. Smelly, cantankerous. But their milk is a staple of our diet. We raise the groat. We care for it, we milk it. And when we come of age, we slaughter the groat and fashion its skull into a dagger. I did. Through this growth, we are shown the connection that we have to the Great Serpent. That all things serve the Serpent, and can be tools for his use, in more ways than one. I am glad that you can appreciate that. Every member of House Varun has a dagger like this. We are instructed to keep them at our side at all times. The Great Serpent is always with us, as is the danger of those who defy and oppose him. But that constant connection to the Great Serpent is a liability to those of us sent out into the settled systems. So when we first leave our home, we hide it. Always been. But my mission dictated that my origins remain concealed. So for years, this dagger has remained buried here, hidden from the world. But now, I believe you should have it. With it, I hope you can understand that I trust you completely. That I know you will care for this the way you care for me. and that we are connected in a way that is now truly unique in the settled systems. In all of creation, I love you, and I am yours, wholly and completely. Yes, it does. Whew. Now, surely there is some other grand adventure that awaits us. We should go and meet it head on. To what do I owe this pleasure? Do you want to hear me? Then I shall be...
Captain, it is pleasant to see you. Good day, Captain.
Harvest any organic materials, now would be the time. you see anything useful?